I'm gonna cut you off. Oh, I cut myself off. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
And today we are here, plotting away the empowerment of trans individuals with two co-conspirators, Kayla and Rick. How the hell are y'all?
Hi, thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm doing great.
I'm part of a group of individuals who are raising money for TEP, which is Trans Empowerment Project. It's just easier in my mind to just say TEP. But yeah, it's some good fun. Lots of games to be had. It's going through the rest of this month, which if you're listening when it releases, is June, Pride Month. And we're working on just helping fundraise money. I'm going to get into the specifics, but I think y'all know a little bit more than me about the emergency that happened recently, or losing some funding, or
Yeah, a pretty big fundraiser is no longer doing any kind of charity work, and so that was one of their biggest income sources, and it's been a big blow to them.
It's actually been a little bit more serious than that. We probably don't need to get into all the details, but there's been like a little bit of kind of promises made that weren't kept, and Trans Empowerment Project was relying on a lot of funds from these people that suddenly got pulled. They've had to lay off all of their staff except for Jack Knoxville, who is the founder and head of this organization, and their partner. So it was a little bit more dire than we realized, but we are just really happy that they're like working directly with us and giving us all this information and just kind of telling us what's what with all of this. So it's been really cool.
Honestly, they're we need emergency funds. I had no idea it was like, hey, we need funds so we can continue to function, kind of emergency. Because a lot of times you see stuff like that. It's like, hey, we're just short. We need to continue covering operating costs. It's like, no, they need all the help that they can get right now.
And what brought this to your attention? Like, how did you find out that they were in need of help?
Can I go?
I think we saw the same post.
So Rick and I canonically share a brain cell, and we both follow Trans Empowerment Project through, I think, both our individual social media platforms and our TTRPG platforms. And we had kind of like loosely been like thinking about doing a Pride fundraiser. We weren't really sure, most people do like the Trevor Project or something, which is great. And then we both kind of saw, within the same day or so period, that they put out this kind of like help post, like, we desperately need funds, we need help really bad. And I was busy, but I came into the shared Discord server of Even Footing Games, where we both lurk, and Rick had already been full like prep mode of like, this is what we're gonna do for Pride, we should start earlier, they need funds sooner. And I was like, hey, we should do this for Pride.
Yeah, it's really funny because like I had been having that conversation in a different part of the server, and then like in the team,
I missed it entirely.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, because we don't just lurk there, we technically work there, just we don't get paid because we're not that big of a company. But yeah, I had been posting in kind of the public area, trying to find people who would be willing to participate and just kind of do what Kayla and I've done before, which is friends getting together for a small kind of thing. We run some games and raise some money, and usually don't raise a ton of money. I actually think right now what we're at is about the same, or maybe even a little more than some of the fundraisers we've participated in the past. So, kind of a big deal. But Kayla went into our team area and was like, hey, we should do this. I'm like, already on it. You can come be a part of it, come help out. But
So then I had to play some catch up, but then we both got on the same page, and then we just kind of started like putting it together and just kind of seeing what we needed to do to get this fundraiser going. So yeah.
And Kayla and I mean, it's probably the shared brain cell, work pretty well together and are usually on the same page about most stuff. So it works out.
What were you expecting the turnout to be at the very beginning?
Not this.
Oh boy. Not much. I mean, we have like a circle of trusted, known people within the space. Um, and honestly, like a lot of these people are somewhere within the realm of queerness, right? So we were like, these are obviously people that we can trust and that we want to bring into this. Like they represent the demographic for Trans Empowerment Project. We have, you know, a good handful of trans people that wanted to participate. So I don't know. If I had to put a number to it, I would have said like 50 would have been the max that I probably would have expected to see in a group like that. And then suddenly it was like 100 or almost like 150 at one point.
Yeah. Well, not 150. We were up to like 110 or so, but we're still right around that area. But I mean, yeah, for me, I think 20 to 30, because that's about how many I would say previous things that we've worked on, not as organizers, but just as the volunteer players, have probably been about that or maybe even less. So for
Yeah.
me, if we had hit that, I would have been happy. This, I mean, I'm ecstatic about so many people being interested, but it's a little overwhelming and unexpected.
What is something that you've kind of learned in this process of organization? Because, like, I think through any kind of social movement, it's a lot to take in, as well as, you know, oh, I can organize 20 to 30 people, but then jumping to more people and more eyes on, w- you know, it is a lot. So we're like 20 days in, right? Probably we started the 15th,
Yeah, something
roughly
like that.
around there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm not a
yeah,
math
what have you
major.
learned? Very few are.
Well, we've learned a lot. I mean, the biggest thing that I think Rick and I have learned through TEP, specifically through Jack and Heather, like just being so involved in this, and just kind of coming in and supporting us mentally, social media wise, background, whatever, is that everybody's idea of perfection is different. And expecting perfection is not necessarily a good thing from people, but that we had a lot of just kind of like pressure on our own selves to do things right, and we were just kind of feeling like all of a sudden it was way bigger than we anticipated and we had no idea how to deal with it. So I think the biggest thing that I probably learned is just to be able to like take a step back and look at like why you're doing something, who you're doing it for, and why it matters. And the thing that usually matters is that you're raising money for this and you're getting people together. Trans Empowerment Project, Jack and Heather have been like super great about just reminding us that we're here to have fun and that this is supposed to be like a good time and that we don't need to be like doing mental hula hoops all the time just to like, you know, make sure everybody is like having fun 100%, like everything is going perfectly and like is it going to be great, is it going to be terrible, like that we just need to kind of slow down a little bit and let it all ride out. But a lot of what we learned early on is just like some really basic tasks that needed to be done. We had some moderators in the beginning that helped us build like a card page. You know, we got a group calendar set up. We had kind of like these kind of basic things that we were just so overwhelmed with other tasks that we kind of forgot were important to look
Oh, and
at.
honestly, a lot of that stuff for other stuff that we'd worked with, they didn't have. Like, I've never seen
Mm-hmm.
that I can remember like a card page, you know, or like an actual media kit. You know, it was stuff that it's usually one streamer or one streamer's platform that is sort of doing everything, and they just kind of
True.
handle all the stuff.
It's it has in the past in our experience been just kind of like regulated to one specific platform. So I think it was just a little bit of a different experience for us to have this spread out across multiple channels, multiple people hosting things, sharing the Tiltify, etc., etc. I mean, we've honestly learned so many other things, but just as far
Oh
as
yeah,
like logistics go, I think those are some of the big points.
yeah, and I mean to your point about TEP and how much they've been a help, I think Kayla and I both could see in each other just the visual relaxation within like our first meeting with Jack and Heather. uh we both were just like, hey, here's all these things, like this is all the stuff that's feels like it's going wrong, and then to paraphrase a lot, Jack was basically like, hold up, you both are being way too hard on yourselves. You need to chill. Like, you're doing fantastic, and we are super proud of all the work that you've done, which didn't feel like other people felt that way up to that point, or at least
Yeah, no.
weren't vocal about it.
Right, right. And as someone who wasn't vocal until like much later, it was just a listening game. I didn't want to be another crowded voice within the discourse because I mean, I listen. That's the main thing I do is make sure that I know what I'm going to say after everything's considered. But yeah, no, I saw what was going on. It was very difficult trying to make sure that everybody's needs were met and I knew that you guys were trying your best, even though it felt like some people were, you know, criticism can be taken, very poorly on in text form. There's not that inclination
Totally.
of friendliness. It seems
Mm-hmm.
like everyone's out to get you to slit your throat, kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
just any internet message. Like me
Yeah.
and Alex, when we text, they're like, "Hey, are you mad at me?" Kind of thing. It's like, and
Totally.
usually it's no, but like, what
Yeah.
if?
That was my biggest challenge too, is just like the texting of it. I actually really appreciated people that were dropping voice messages and some of the
Yes.
conversations we were having through the Discord server because you can actually like hear tone and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally like probably should have done some of that too, but it was just like it was such a challenge for people to be like, you didn't respond to what I said. And I'm like, I read it, but I can't like literally respond to everything, so it's hard for me to like recognize that I
Hmm.
heard somebody in a text chat. So that was a big challenge for us in the beginning when we kind of opened up that whole like discussion and stuff.
Hmm.
But I do just want to say that I really appreciate you just being there to support us emotionally through some of that, because you did watch a lot of that happen and you were just like, hey, you guys got this. And honestly, a lot of the feedback that we got in private was kind of what you said. Like, we see you, we know that you guys are trying your best. That matters a lot. It goes very far. If you want to talk about this or that aspect of what you're dealing with, I'm here, like we still want to be around. And that really spoke volumes for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think as somebody who was not involved in any of this drama, fuck them bitches. But honestly, like, I do think it's really easy, especially on the internet, to turn from like, yeah, we've got this, we're all in this together, we're raising money for a good cause, we're doing this for somebody else, and then at the same time, like, looking and being like, well, my voice isn't heard in my everyday life, so let me make this
Yeah.
also a time for me to be heard. And I understand that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people have this trauma that they need to unlearn and work through, and like, it's hard to be talking about a situation where like we're trying to help and support people, but also like it's not about you. And I know it's like, if you, dear listener, are listening to this and you're like, I'm a part of this thing, but my voice isn't being heard, like, you gotta look at the people that are around you. A lot of my spaces are filled with people who are just like me, right? Adrian just mentioned that we both have the anxiety. The anxiety tells me I'm not doing a good job. Adrian has never told me.
Relatable.
Adrian has told me one time that maybe I could step up. One time, and that was like 1,000 years ago. And that was the one time. He is not. It's never been anything else. So like, I think, dear listener, if you're doing this, like, can you please remember that there are other people involved, and unless that other person is legitimately being insufferable, like, it's cool. Like, I would be so overwhelmed. Can you imagine? Like, I have to think about 1,000 different platforms of getting this message out, and it's important because it does affect lives, and there's 1,000 other things going on in the background. Like, okay, cool, we're raising money here, but we could also be raising money for this, and this, and this. And you're like, this late stage capitalism is really something
Oh my
else.
god,
Yeah.
for sure, dude.
No joke.
Thank you for saying all that, by the way. But I just want to say that, like, I personally at least don't hold any bad feelings to anybody who has left or had just, like, unsavory experiences with us or whatever, because we know that it wasn't a great start to the program, and that we have had to kind of change a lot of things as we go, and that some people have come into this with professional experience expecting level of professionalism that we haven't been able to give. And we had a lot of people in the beginning that helped us a lot with a lot of stuff, and their work is stuff that we've been continuing to use. And even if they haven't like chosen to continue to be part of the fundraiser or like part of our specific branch of the fundraiser, their work was still very useful to us. And I get it. I really understand what it's like coming into a space like this, and not knowing us, not being able to trust us, and not seeing right away that we've come in and been like, hey, here's everything that you need to know about us and why you should trust us and why this is a safe space. You know, we had to kind of do a lot of stuff to start to prove that to people, and it's been a little bit longer of a process than we would like. So yeah, I get
But
it.
I think Jack made some really good points about like you don't need to be a professional, whatever that
No,
means,
I know.
to
But not
raise
everybody
money
sees it that
for
way.
a good cause. Yeah, no, for sure. I get that. And I really appreciated. I had no idea. I assumed there were probably others out there who were trying to do similar things, but according to Jack and Heather, we were the first people who actually stepped up and said like, "Hey, we're going to do this," instead of just saying like, "Oh, thoughts and prayers. Sorry."
That was a big message that they were kind of giving us, is that Rick and I were both the first people to reach out and say, hey, we want to start this for you. I kind of wish we would have like worked with them from the beginning on it. They were kind of just like, yeah, go off, you know, like have
Right.
fun.
Fly.
Yeah,
For
but
me,
now that they're
for me
involved,
personally,
they're just like so fully supportive and just
yeah.
like giving us so many resources, like helping us bring more people in. You know, they helped us like rebuild the casting process and all of this stuff, and they've just been like instrumental in just kind of like forming what we want this actual fundraiser to look like.
And for me personally, I considered asking them like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this? Do you have people who want to be involved?" And I just, probably wrongly assumed that they were just busy. That they're running this organization and they probably had better things to do than
Well, they are
come hang out
really
with us.
busy, but
They are, yeah, but they're also clearly very happy to be here and help out and do what they can to help do what we're trying to do and help keep TEP alive.
yeah. But you know, Alex, a lot of what you're just saying is stuff that Jack has already reiterated to us behind the scenes. That it's easy for people to criticize, but a lot of the problem with that is if you're not getting like direct feedback on how things can be improved. And that was something that we've really valued, as people that have taken the time to be like, this is what I've noticed, here's what I think could be better, and or do you want help making that better? Because that's been so
Yep.
important to us, instead of just like, I don't like this, you fucked up, and you suck.
And you know who's been fantastic about saying like, "Hey, I want to help"? Adrian.
Adrian.
Well, why not? Like, I wanna help as best as I can because, like, trans empowerment project. I don't know the like 100 underlined. There's some info in the server, but like I have friends and coworkers and and people out there. Things, Jesus, what the fuck? um,
Adrian, how dare you?
I know, cancel. And around me and to my day-to-day life, and I have people who are, unfortunately, my coworkers that aren't for that. So I have to be more active than just like listen to this shitty thing they're saying. Like I have to like challenge them in what they're thinking every single time, even though like this person's my boss. I don't care. I still talk to them like, hey, maybe we should think about this, huh? They're like, take a second, which is more seconds than they've ever thought about this in their fucking life. And then they're like, no, which is, not good, but it's still
Yeah.
progress.
Well, and at least you tried. I feel like that's what matters, is that you're taking the time to try and like educate somebody about that.
Yeah. And I mean, my whole, I don't know, I love helping people out, charity and shit. Like I was there in January. I've been doing charities like at least once a year since I started like on Twitch, but like I just had my close friends and that's it. And 24-hour streams, 12-hour streams, just like maybe one game stream, but like I always wanted to help. So every time someone's like, hey, there's this event, if I have time somewhere, and to jump in and assist in some way, hopefully, I'm gonna be there. I don't want to sit on the sidelines. I'm not trying to be just a spectator in the world we live in anymore, because it's only gotten us here, right? If I want to see some change, I got to do some fucking change.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yep. That was another big takeaway from us talking with Jack and Heather. It's just that, like, even just taking the step to try and do something matters.
Mhm.
Like, even if we did it wrong, even though that's not a term that they like to use, that the fact is that we came and tried, And, I mean, we're already almost at $2,000, so I'd say we've done more than try at this point.
Mhm.
We're seeing actual results, which I think is awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, just watching people get burned by eating hot chips,
Yeah.
by hitting
Totally.
what was like a $1,000 mark.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I know that. I know I did that for the end of last what's called the
Did
January
you?
stream.
Oh shit, no way.
Whee! It was bad. It was bad. I didn't drink water for a whole hour. I didn't have to. It was like, here's a little challenge. You should try it out.
You were
I'm
just
like,
sweating the whole time, like.
yeah, it's just like it immediately. It's like a saltine where it immediately dries out your mouth of water, and then it just like peppers on all the seasoning, coating your
Ugh.
tongue.
Sounds
That
It's
sounds
a
terrible.
horrible
No, thank you.
thing.
Yeah. No, thank you.
yeah.
Listen, Alex knows I give like all my hair to any charity fund or my taste buds every single time. I don't think I've uploaded it, but there's like a video I have somewhat edited of me just like shaving my head with
Oh, sick.
a dull razor. I didn't find out. I'm
Ugh.
just like, nothing's happening.
Ugh.
I just started looking. I
Buddy.
guess I'm just taking scissors and I just tried my best. Yeah, Alex knows. What are you doing? What are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing some math. I'm just okay. So like, this whole conversation then like tickled my brain, right? So like, it's really hard to see the impact that you make as a single human being, because we have limited resources as poor people. It's very hard for me to reconcile like, oh, my $50 here made a difference, and like, oh, it's only whatever. So then I was like, okay, I'm now curious, because you think of like Salvation Army, and I don't know if it happens anywhere. I assume it happens other places, but like, especially in the South, there's like, it's outside of every fucking store. There's a Salvation Army person, right? And like, I know we'll put aside the Salvation Army shit, but just like fundraising campaigns, right? We are talking about $1, $2, $3. Keep like, I'm
the little
not
bucket where they
donating.
collect change.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if I could find out how many they have like total, and
Well,
then dividing that.
So
But
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like you mentioned about like how many people that were helping. Kayla, it's $200, right, on the food vouchers.
I was gonna let Alex finish her thought first, but
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
I've got some facts I could share with TEP
Sorry.
about like how much money TEP can like benefit from.
Yeah, and I think that's really beneficial too, to like put it into terms. Like, I'm going to help out another person. I have a diverting thread along with that. But in 2022, it declined because everybody was in a decline, right? But they still made $102 million of people just putting in change, and I don't ever remember any time in my life that I put in more than like $2 or $3. So like $2 or $3 from a bunch of people, $102 million, right? I don't know what the other cost of other stuff, so whatever. I don't know if that's like plus whatever that number is. That's still a lot of fucking money.
Mm-hmm.
For me to be like, I gave $1 or $2, and then for the Salvation Army then take $102 million. So like, all of those little pieces, all of those little things, like, across the nation, right, add up to millions and millions of dollars. But please, what is the amount of help in perspective in helping people through tech.
Yeah, I mean it varies from program to program. TEP has so many programs that they offer to help people on, but something that they have said is the most commonly requested resource is food, because there's, yeah, I'm sure you guys know, but there's the whole cycle of poverty where everything is just compounded into each other, like in perpetuity, right? So like
Right.
you need health care, but you can't afford to go to the doctor, and so you continue to get sick, and then you can't afford to buy good food, so then you continue to get sick and you can't go to the doctor, and then you can't make a car payment, so then you can't get to the doctor or go buy food. And it just keeps building and building and building. But one of the most common resources that is requested is for food. But a lot of the issues is that people requesting food don't have transportation to get to the food. So a very popular service that TEP offers is to give out gift cards, usually of around $200 or so. So we're almost at the $2,000 mark, so that's like, what, 20 people that can get food through TEP if they need to. Is that the right math?
10.
10, thank
If
you.
it's $200.
I don't think
I'm
it's
not the
20,
math
but,
person.
You know, but they're not all
But still.
$200. Like some of
And
them
they're
might be
not,
like
but
$50.
that's like the max. And they also offer medical care, so they pay for people's prescriptions so they can keep taking their HRT. They pay for like bus fare and travel fare for people to go to the doctor or go to the grocery store. So even like small contributions can add up really fast. That way people can just like access these really, really, really basic needs that they suddenly can't have.
What is something as of right now do you feel like you need within this fundraiser? Do you need more players? Do you need more GMs? What are y'all looking for?
Yes.
We honestly will take whatever we can get at this point. We had quite a few games get canceled for various reasons. We've had some people leave for various reasons, and that's all fine. Like I said earlier, no hard feelings on any of that. But we would like to see more games happening because we would like to see just more community input, you know, more people coming together and just having fun, because that's kind of our new goal, is just to make sure that people are enjoying this whole process and enjoying meeting each other and getting to spend time in the community. So more GMs, if you want to come run a game, more players, if you want to play in a game, we can always use stream hosts. So if you have a channel and you want to host somebody on your channel, and that can be more than games, that can be like roundtable discussions, something like this. It can be Jackbox games. You could just stream a video game and talk about TEP. Also, if you want to come just hang out and be part of the mod team like Adrian and just be like, hey, I'm really good at graphic design, or I'm really good at bots, I can help you. Like I said, we'll take whatever we can get at this point, but the more people that show up, the more money that we can raise and the more eyes that we can get on this fundraiser and like get more funds into the pockets of TEP themselves.
Well, I was going to say, Adrian was in one of my games that was unfortunately canceled, and then in theory he might still be in one of my games, but that's a little bit up in the air as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've talked to some people that aren't really in the TTRPG realm. They're like kind of intimidated because they think it's like this whole like big production and like I have to be a professional gamer, professional streamer. I've never played a TTRPG before, and I'm like, listen, we got you. Like, we can set up low to no prep games, GM-less games. I mean, we can set up basically anything you want. So if you're interested, just come reach out to us, and we'll get you in some way. Basically, there's room for everybody.
Imagine that.
Okay.
Raising money for trans advocacy, and then there being room for everybody. Isn't that what a concept? Just
What a
there's room
concept
for everybody.
It's almost like it was designed that way.
Oh my gosh. It's almost like this is the whole thing. Like, that's the thing.
Right.
That there's room.
Like, that's the
for
point,
everyone.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ugh. Form matches function. I'm so sorry.
All right. Let's talk about how you guys got into the general TTRPG space. Where did this all start?
I just talked, Rick.
okay, fine. I guess I'll go. I've been playing for a long time, so I think I was around like 8 or 9 and I'm 35 now, so whatever that math is, it's a lot. Um, Started out as a player in second edition D&D, which is horrible. I don't recommend it for anyone. It's not a good time. Uh, Moved on to third edition and really just played D&D for a majority. It's only been in the last couple of years that I've really gotten into other TTRPGs, just because I kind of knew that they existed, but none of my like IRL local friends wanted to play any of them, or it was just expensive to buy the books and stuff. And learning so much about the different indie TTRPGs and the stuff that's out there that's free. I mean, there's so many games that I have just gone on itch and they don't have anything listed for a price, or it's pay what you want, and I'll pay nothing initially. If I like it, then I'll come back and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay for your game because now I'm not broke.
I don't think there's any shame in that either. Listen, if you're gonna post it for free, I as a broke bitch am going to pay for it or not pay for it. But like if you've created an amazing product, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna support you tenfold. And so I know that that's also a hard thing to get over. Like, oh, I want to support smaller businesses. But like, your time is also important. And if they've made a good product, if it's something you enjoy, I don't know if you know, but you can always go back and like throw money or throw
Exactly.
likes or throw shares or throw things back at them.
I was going to say, yeah, just sharing it with your friends, saying like, hey, I found this game. It's really cool. Or like, for example, I stream games and, then usually post them on YouTube later. That is more visibility for those indie games. Every time that I go and play somebody's itch.io game, that's hopefully at least a couple people in the world who are like, hey, I never heard of this game. I'm going to go check it out.
Kayla, how'd you get into TTRPGs?
Okay, so my answer's a little basic. I started watching Stranger Things in 2017, and they were
Dang.
like, hey, this is cool. And I was like, okay, that actually is really cool. But just to back up a little bit, I've always been kind of a nerd. I've always been really into like video games and fantasy and all kinds of stuff like that. I was hyper fixated on Xeno Warrior Princess when I was a kid, which is definitely why I'm a bisexual. um, so, I've been into it for a long time, but I, like a lot of people, had this idea in my head that D&D was just a bunch of, like, white, bearded, pimply, sweaty dudes in their mom's basement wearing wizard hats, and that wasn't for me. I was not that nerdy. And so I think it was really interesting to see the way that Stranger Things made D&D mainstream, and kind of like put it into the spotlight like that, because I was like, maybe I'd be into that one day, but I just don't think that's for me. I was just like equating it to LARPing, and just I had so many false ideas of what D&D actually was. And so then my friends were like, hey, we started a D&D game, do you want to come try it out one day? And it was just like I made a character called Trinity who was a tiefling rogue, no surprise. And it just was, that was it. It was like my everyday. I would play like 3 days a week with that group. I just went in head first. I was like, oh, this is like every video game I've ever played. Okay, sick, I get it. And then I got my co-host Keisha, one of my best friends, and do it pretty quickly after that. And then she immediately was like, oh, I don't want to be a player, I want to be a fucking DM, let's go. And then it was just homebrewing games like right out of the gate. So now I just play with her all the time. But yeah, I mean, because of our podcast, I've been able to branch out of D&D, because it was for a long time just D&D 5e exclusively. And then meeting a bunch of people online and getting invited to play in other games and be on streams, I've gotten to play and learn a lot of other systems, which has been really, really fun.
It's like super overwhelming though.
What was?
Like I think I persistently look at the number of things I can play, and then I'm like, I don't know anything. Michael and I went to one of the game stores in our area, and it was like it's like it's set up like a Hastings. So for like the 4 people who know what Hastings is or was,
I do. For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh my gosh.
I'm that old.
Lubbock got rid of Hastings like 2018.
We don't have one either. Yeah.
Right. So we have been looking for a replacement. But we went to the game store and then we wandered into like the RPG space and I was like, oh, and then I just like sat there and I was like, oh my God, there's so many. And then there's so many cool looking systems. And then you're like, okay, cool. But like, I can't get all of them. And I definitely don't have the mental capacity because I don't have real, in real life friends. And I think part of it is like, I have to process it in the real world and then I could take it to the online space. So, and then of course we're in a new space where people are playing these RPGs and I'm like, I don't even know if I could talk to y'all. I don't know. I don't know. I could bring this and be like, I'm going to suck at this really bad. But please let me play with you. So we start talking about like the joys of other TTRPGs and I'm like, yeah, I love that. And then I'm like, oh man, it's so difficult, especially when there's a lot socially, there's a lot rule wise, there's a lot.
I feel you. I have chronic anxiety as well, and I used to feel that way too, but honestly just being invited through online spaces and being like, hey, I promise you this is really easy, or like, this is a narrative RPG, so there's not going to be very much combat, you're just going to roleplay, and just kind of getting the rundown early, and also just having game masters that are flexible and like willing to take on beginners has been like crucial to me enjoying learning new RPGs as somebody with chronic anxiety that hates being perceived and that hates having to learn new things on the fly. And here I am doing it, right? So and it's actually fun, believe it or not. So I feel ya.
Yeah, I wasn't just gonna call us out, but like whenever you said earlier about you guys having anxiety, I'm like, wow, that's us too.
Yay!
So relatable.
Spicy brains.
Yeah. I mean, it's just part of trying to figure the social interactions of everyday beings. Unfortunately, that's just there's not the correct path for like everybody. There's specific paths in the dialogue tree apparently that we have to take, and it's never the right one. Not kidding.
It's never the right one.
I have ADHD, so no, it's never the right one.
There's no quick save. We can't go back. It was like, now I sit in it.
Right.
Egg on my face.
20 years later, you'll be in the shower being like, I said the stupidest fucking thing ever in that interview. Why the fuck did I say that? I'm such an idiot. They probably fucking hate me.
Yep.
Gosh, all those prep questions in the shower of just like, I'm going to win this argument. I'm going to have this conversation so good. No. Out the window.
I mean, the amount of arguments I've had after the fact in one, 100% success rate. Practicing for them and then actually winning them, not so good.
Yeah, so many times after the fact that I'm like, oh, I should have said this and that. I'm like, damn it.
No. It's the Arrested Development gif where he's crying into the washcloth in the shower. That one.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen just enough Arrested Development. Sometimes I get the references, but not always, as Kayla learned recently.
I've seen it all, but I didn't like it all, so I didn't all see it.
That last season was kind of rough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think I didn't finish the last season, but I've only seen it all the way through, like, once.
Once Michael, Sarah, and the other kids grew up, it lost a lot of its charm.
Yeah, that's fair.
These were
As
adults.
it does.
They're less funny when they're grown.
The dynamic's not there.
Now it's too relatable, because now
now I can see myself in Michael Sarah, and I don't like that. Oh, man.
I feel called out.
Sorry. This is what we do. In the most loving way.
Yeah. All love. Especially
I'm
when I make
well used to it.
Alex cry.
I just cry, man. I cannot tell you.
Yeah.
You start to heal some shit, and that's it. It's straight to the tears.
My brand of
I
love,
feel that.
especially towards Rick, is spicy nice. So,
Yeah,
to other
accurate.
people, it seems horribly mean, but it's actually just me laying down the law in the nicest way possible, so it goes straight to the brain.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I feel what you said, Alex, about like starting to heal some shit, and then that's where I'm at. Like, full disclosure, I've been in therapy for almost a year, solid. I had done it a little bit
Nice.
before, I think at the beginning of COVID, and I didn't really like my therapist because it was just awkward. I didn't feel like I could talk to her because weirdly, I work in mental health. The only places that are insurance covered was us. So I would be seeing one of my coworkers, which did not sound like a good time to me.
There's some
or
ethical
there was-
dilemma there.
You would think, but apparently not.
For sure. Jesus.
I know that they have like safeguards in place, but I don't. Even with HIPAA, I know that people talk, and
Oh yeah,
it's
I was a social worker. Yeah.
yeah.
Adrian, you cannot out yourself on this podcast.
I've always said I was a social worker. I'm not the one spreading the shit, dude. I'm just there with like chatty people, and they're just like, it's within the confines. Like, we're talking about things like, what should I do, and people. But then like, I was in a small town, so like,
Yeah.
Everybody's coming through to the one clinic, so it just like we saw everybody. I didn't know anybody, thank goodness, because I moved there. But everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I dated that person. I can't see them," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yikes. Yeah.
I guess Adrian is taking all the clients because he didn't know them.
No, that's what it felt like. All the problematics. That's yours, Adrian. You get them all.
Yeah. So our other option was, and no shade against anybody who's religious, but it was a Christian therapy place, and I am not religious, and I felt like I couldn't talk openly about anything. And at that point, I was still under the delusion that I was a cishet man. So like,
oh no,
it would have been even more awkward now. But yeah, it's just been interesting going from like I would cry every once in a while to like there was a while after starting therapy that I'm like every single movie I watch, I'm crying. Like it doesn't matter what it is, I'm gonna cry. Like, okay, this is just who I am now.
I ever since I've upped my medication, I don't cry as much anymore, but I used to be like every soft anime moment where just like, but you can do it. I'm like, yeah, you can.
That's me. I can do it.
So
that's so cute.
So my moment like that, Kayla was talking about being a huge nerd before getting into TRPGs. I was the same way. Grew up loving Greek mythology, thus the podcast, and Star Wars, and just anything nerdy, basically. And Star Wars was like my thing, especially as a kid. So for the 9th one, which I'm being a bad fan right now, I'm totally blanking on the name. Whatever that one was that like ended the whole saga, I cried almost the entire movie. Like basically from the opening credits to the end of it, I cried because it was just it was emotional.
But like that felt like, and at that time, right? And I understand. At that time, it felt like the ending of something that was amazing. It's obviously not, because we have been given so many things from Dave Filoni. Thank you, sir. May I have some more? But like, I agree, and I think going through like all of the major fandoms and like that last movie hits differently. Like it just, it doesn't matter what it is. It just hits in a special kind of way where you're like, okay, we've gone through this whole journey. We've developed characters. We've developed acting styles. We've developed with the director, the music, all of this. And like, now I'm at the end and I'm like it's the same thing as closing a book, right? Like
in retrospect, I kind of don't like that one because it's just not that good compared to the others. But in that moment, It was like I was just a little kid again, like watching Star Wars for the first time, but it was the end of all of it, you know? And I mean, even at that point, we knew that there were other movies and shows coming, but it wasn't the Skywalker saga. It wasn't like the core movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Kaylee, you don't get to hear a lot of me nerding out about Star Wars, so.
Who is this bitch Ahsoka? We don't even care about her.
Yeah,
Love
Star Wars
it.
isn't my demographic, so Rick can't often like talk to me about it.
Oh, I mean, I just am like, Kayla doesn't know all the things, so I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
so it doesn't it
rattle
just
off.
like right over my head. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
One day,
I'm
though,
happy
one day.
to
One
listen to this though.
day.
This is lovely to see you guys so engaged in it.
I can't. I will be honest. I married into this. I had some. I came with the original trilogy, right? I was aware of Star. I had seen them. I knew I liked that over Star Trek. I still kind of like I still like Star Trek. I'll be honest.
I
But like,
also like Star Trek. It's fine.
yeah, but Star Trek got me in with whales. Like Star Wars didn't get me in with whales, right? So Star
Okay,
Trek
but Star
was-
Wars has whales now with the Purgo.
Okay, now, but not when we were little. Because that's a
True,
really
you got
great
me there.
movie.
What the fuck is going on?
Adrian is
Nerds
lost
being
control.
nerds, Adrian. This is what happens when you put a bunch of them together in a room.
Mhm.
Who saw this coming? Not me.
Adrian, there's a Star Trek movie where they have to go save the whales. Like it's a whole thing.
Yeah, they go back in time and across the galaxy.
It's
It's a
important.
whole thing.
Okay.
I believe it. Okay.
We were in our Free Willy
I
stage.
love Free Willy too. Okay. I got like. By Free Willy 2, I mean the second one, Free Your Willy. No, I was kidding.
Oh no.
Free your willy.
But
Mhm.
like,
I was gonna say, I think that's a different Free Willy.
that's banned in Texas now. You cannot download it
yeah.
anymore.
Who's
How do we get here?
I've
How do we always
been
get
to-
here, Adrian?
I've been
I
to
don't
Texas for like all of 5 minutes, and that was a lot.
I was telling Adrian before you got on, Alex, but I'm actually from Texas. I was
Where are you from?
I was born in Austin, and I lived in Round Rock most of my life. I
Okay.
graduated high school there, and then I moved to where I'm at now in Montana, like 12 years ago or something.
See, there's something about Texas. Like, I make the joke all the time that like I rejected the Texas. Like I've been here since I was in kindergarten.
Mhm.
I can do the accent. I can do all like there's a y'all, but y'all is
I like
Y'all-
y'all. I like y'all.
I like y'all.
Even-
Y'all includes everybody.
Even
though.
non-Americans have started using y'all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just my family's from Massachusetts, so like I had a you guys in there, but like you guys eliminates part of our friends. So like y'all is everybody, and like y'all is y'all. I get that. That's a good slogan, but like it wasn't until I moved back to Dallas that I was like, I think if we ever left the state, we would be Texas people. Like I don't know if I left, I would not shut up about Whataburger. Like I don't know if I left, I wouldn't have a Texas flag.
Oh my god, I live in Missouri. We just got Whataburger here like last year. I was playing rugby. I haven't in a little
It's
bit.
pretty good.
Yeah, every single time that we went somewhere with a Whataburger for like an away game, that's what I was getting. Like,
See, but like I think if I left the state, I'd be like, all right, like I get it. Hot Wheels, he can go, right? Abbott, well, I guess that's the same person. Cruz, he can go. A lot of the politics, they can go. But like, I don't know, Homecoming, Whataburger, like Friday Night Lights, college football, like I'm mostly a nerd, but then sometimes I'm like, fucking Texas, like the stars at night. They are big and
big
bright.
and bright.
I don't know, man. I moved to Montana, and the stars here are much bigger and much brighter, I gotta say.
But
also,
that's
Kayla,
in
it's
your
really funny.
heart.
That's true. In the heart, they're bigger.
They were
I
in
think we had-
Texas.
I think we had talked about our timelines before, but it's weird because like 12 years ago is when I moved where I live currently, which was still just Missouri, just across the state. But it's just funny that we've both lived in the same place for 12 years.
Totally.
Like 20 hours
Probably-
apart from each other. But like,
Probably more like 13 for me now, but yeah, for sure.
Oof.
Why
I'm
are
not.
you
I'm not. I'm trying to think.
Why are
I'm
you
not
oofing
hungry
like that?
because I just ate. But we do talk about Whataburger a lot.
Getting
There's
snacky.
one down the
Yeah.
street from you driving. Like I have to pass by one to go home from school.
Oh no, that's dangerous.
And you're like,
Mhm.
man, I just skirt right over.
I had
fortunately,
it this
they're
morning.
all. Fortunately for me, they're all on the other side of the city, so like I have to go out of my way to get there. But I can also just DoorDash at any time.
It's true.
I may
I
have
will.
done that a
I
couple
will.
times.
The only thing that beats Whataburger is Brahms, and Brahms is even more local
No.
because.
No.
Excuse me.
No.
What?
I don't think I've eaten at Brahms yet.
They were friends, and now they're enemies. Star Wars brought them together. Brahms tore them apart.
I'm sorry. I can get all of the food I want and ice cream.
Yeah,
No?
I just feel like the food's not as good. Like, it's
But
fine.
Okay. But let me set the scene for you. Okay. You've played 4 games of softball in one Saturday summer afternoon. It is 110
You lost me
degrees
there.
outside.
I wouldn't play softball.
110 degrees. Your friends are playing one division higher than you should be. You're playing with the 18 and older crowd, and you guys are 16. You've beat them. You're in first place, right? What do you think you want to go to after a weekend like that to celebrate your victory? Fucking Brahms, man.
So,
Fries,
I mean,
chicken nuggets, burgers,
I could see
ice
that.
cream, cherry limeades.
Oh, cherry
There's,
limeades. Yeah, so we have Sonic here now, but Sonic is very Texas to me. That's
Sonic
I
is
used to
very
get a lot
really?
of Sonic back home.
Really?
See, I grew up in a very small town in Missouri, and like Sonic was the cool place to go, or Walmart. That was,
I'm
that
not
was
sure where
pretty much
Sonic
it, 'cause it
originated
was-
from.
I don't know. But like, literally, it's known as the loop. You would go and like circle around Sonic in your car, and then you would drive down to, I think it's AutoZone or O'Reilly's, one
It's
of the
from
two.
Oklahoma.
And you would just go back and forth. So, yeah, I never did that. I wasn't that cool. I was playing D&D.
Oops.
I know.
Oh no. What are we gonna do?
Obviously, we all hate TTRPGs here.
Yeah. Dang you. Making my mind a little bit more open. Just grander ideas of
shoot.
problem solving.
My biggest question, right? We've had these conversations a lot. How emotionally, about how emotionally open you become with playing Dungeons and Dragons and even like fighting battles. Okay, sure. You still incorporate the fighting part, but like there's still some role playing. What the fuck happened with like the older generation? Like, did you not identify that your game was also like a little touchy feely and we could talk about our emotions? Like, why is it? Where's the gap?
We have some friends who are kind of in that like older crowd, and it's not that they don't like role play, but they are a little bit more, I guess, specific with it.
It was a different
Then some
style
of
of
us-
role play, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emotions were
whereas-
gross.
Yeah. I mean,
Real
I think a
emotions
lot of
were
times-
gross. I feel like they would often like role play emotions based on stereotype, but not actually feel those emotions.
Okay.
but I also think a lot of that comes from the fact that it was a very cis white man dominated thing for a long time, and cis white men are told to not feel those feelings because those are for girls.
There's probably so many games that just were never like recorded or kept track of though that were just like really diverse groups of friends playing and crying and having fun in their mom's basement, you know?
Absolutely.
And once they left, it stayed there.
That's right.
We never
They carried it
talk
around
about it,
forever.
okay?
Exactly. That was your safe space to express that, but then you don't talk about it outside of that.
Yeah.
On their wedding day, it's a flashback to like them laughing in the basement and like having a questionable thought about their friends, and then like zooms back in to like their boring wedding. You're like, this is what that Chapel Roan song is about.
That's assuming they're gonna have a boring wedding, though. Like if they're TTRPG players,
I mean, it's true. It's true.
Especially if they're like really into roleplay, they're gonna have a fun wedding, I'm sure.
But for 2 seconds, they're thinking about kissing somebody.
Sounds fake. That doesn't happen in TTRPGs.
It's true. I
know. So good. So good. Is that what's going to happen at my wedding? I'm going to have flashbacks of all my TTRPG games.
Yeah.
You're going to have a flashback to playing like Thirsty Sword Lesbians and being like, I don't know.
Okay, talk about crying. That's the most emotion I've ever felt in any role-playing game ever. Thirsty Sword Lesbians, like, fucking pulls the feelings out of you and just puts them all out on display.
That would be good if the GM wasn't so, like, not open about romance.
What?
Oh, why did they pick that game then?
Because I thought I could practice.
Oh, buddy.
That's valid.
I was just like, yeah, you're cute. And it was, and they had fun because it was me having to do all the things.
Oh man!
And I was just like red the whole time, hot cheeks. I'm just, yeah, we kiss.
Speaking of being embarrassed, it happened on stream, and thankfully, I think that usually my screen is dark enough that it doesn't show up on stream, or it's just small enough. Because Kayla especially has made me blush so many times during Pandaros. Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. I know how to push Rick's buttons a little bit, so.
Yeah, there have been quite a few times where I'm like, I just need a minute just to buffer.
Deregulate a little bit. Yeah. I mean, if you want to flirt with your friends, then Thirsty Sword Lesbians is the game for you.
Oh yeah.
I have yet to actually get to play, but maybe one day.
I just jumped into it. I did like 15 minutes of prep, dude. I was just like, this is the game we're gonna play. Why not?
That was Monster Hearts for me. And funny enough, I had like a loose idea. It was supposed to be a one-shot for Even Footing Games, and then at the end of it, everybody was like, "This was so much fun. When are we playing more?" I'm like, "Okay." And it was a whole mini campaign that I was pulling out of my ass every single time because I'm like, I didn't plan for any of this. And that's how they met Dolly Parton and stopped the apocalypse.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I made that seating chart that you're supposed to make for Monster Hearts, and then I was just like, how do I incorporate every single person's like feelings and stuff? Yeah. And they're like, is this person, what's their sexuality? I'm like, oh, it's the only thing I did race and everything else, but I didn't do sexuality.
No, everyone is pansexual polyamorous. All of them.
Put that as your default. Don't gotta worry about it.
Exactly.
Gosh, I do want to keep trying to play these romantic games because I think it'll up my, well, one, I need to be more open about my feelings, and because that's just like a thing that I need to do in real life. And two, I think it upped my game as a DM is to enter that realm with those players and, you know, be a safe and inviting person in order for them to reciprocate and respond in a way that doesn't feel forced or anything. It just feels natural. So I feel like that's like the next step to unlocking me becoming the next big thing.
I have a game for you that you gotta play now. So
What is it? Is it not Thirsty Swords Lesbians?
no. So I have played a couple times. I think mostly with Aaron actually. It's called Our Mundane Supernatural Life. It's basically just improv. Like there's not a lot of traditional TTRPG stuff, and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but it can be any kind. And that's, I mean, we ended up the last time we played it with like I was playing a ghost, and Aaron and Alana from Even Footing Games, they were a couple, and so we ended up in like this throuple with me as a ghost. You know, just casually, it happens.
Casual ghost, no worries. All right.
Yeah, threesome with a ghost. That's a normal thing.
Yeah.
A werewolf ghost, mind you.
Oh.
Oh, that's
I
even
can't
hotter.
stand for that. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
where I draw the line. All right. We hit the hour mark.
Nice.
Alex,
It's
any
easy to do
last
with us.
questions?
I think we need to stream Thirsty Sword Lesbians since we talked about it so much for
yeah.
We should.
TAP.
Do it.
Yeah.
Adrian,
I'm
when
not
you
leading.
running it?
Yeah, Adrian, let's go.
Alex,
play?
run it. Run it for me.
Skirt.
Whenever I feel like I have enough time. I think right now, until after this con, I'll be... So after this weekend, I think I'll be much more freer.
My brain is stuck.
There is at least one, if not two, Thirsty Sword Lesbian games on the roster. I think that those are still active, but yeah.
I think they're full, I believe, but I could be wrong.
That
we
doesn't
can always
mean
use
we can't
more.
have more.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I know I signed up for one and I did not make the cut. I was not thirsty or sword or lesbian enough.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
I was that person, but I was running, so they couldn't kick me out.
That's right.
That's the trick.
If those were the three genders, where would you lie?
Thirsty.
Mm.
I drink so
Yeah,
much water.
Thirsty, for sure.
Oops, I'll thirst.
Alex, the question to you.
I don't know. I don't drink enough water, so I think I might lie in thirsty. I may be like thirsty and sword. Because I'm a little feisty, but like probably mostly thirsty. I think I like. I want to.
You're
be
like a water
sword.
dagger, is what you're saying. Not a water sword.
Yeah.
My brain went straight to like a water bed, but it's a dagger.
What?
Don't look at me like that.
It's a
Caleb.
little balloon.
Listen, this is the first time I lost my virginity in a waterbed. So the waterbed
God.
entirely. We don't ask questions, okay?
Okay.
Early 2000s. It was crazy. You just had to be there.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
It was 0 out of 0 stars. 0 stars. Actually,
Usually
negative 15 stars.
I've
Don't
never
do it
been
on a
on a waterbed in general, but they seem terrible.
They're awful. A sensory nightmare.
Love it.
And you're worried about it popping the whole time. Like, it's not a good time. Absolutely not. They were not fun.
My mom dated a guy that had a waterbed for a while, so whatever the implications of that are. But I was a child at the time, so I just remember like this was really fun, jumping on the waterbed.
Yeah. That's all you think.
Trampoline.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's the end of the podcast. Thanks, guys.
This is a waterbed podcast.
Hell yeah.
His dog was on the bed. Oh.
Oh no.
Oh, yay.
Oh no, Alex is reliving
Sounds
trauma.
terrible.
They didn't know they needed.
Don't do it.
Just
Do we
Where
ever.
even
can
sell
they-
beds anymore?
I don't.
I don't think so. I think they're pretty obsolete now.
There's got to be like one niche store out there that's like,
You think
the
somebody's
market is
still holding on to
free,
it?
okay? We're the only one out there.
Again, don't ask why. I have no idea why, but my brain tells me that New Jersey is probably where that last waterbed store is. Just something about it.
What are you? Okay,
You can
what
get
is
one
it,
at Walmart.
Alex?
You can get one at Walmart.
You can get
Amazon
one at
still sells them. Furniture
No
Row
way.
has it. Wayfair. No. That's a waveless shallow. That's a. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like your top 3 hits on my Google: Amazon, Furniture Row, and Walmart. eBay also has
How
one.
expensive are they? How expensive are they? Are they like a relic of the past? You're like paying
What
for
would
the
you
nostalgia.
What would you expect to pay for a waterbed?
Honestly, like, I would expect to pay less than $200, but I'm guessing since it's like a relic from the 70s, it's like $1,000.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I would think it'd be more expensive because like there's all this setup and stuff.
So it looks like the Walmart is $2,500 because you get. I think you get the whole thing. The one from Furniture Row looks like it's just the like bed frame. Like you have to get, but in that case, then it's just like a bed frame, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. You could buy like a couple of beds for that.
Couple good quality beds. We're sponsored by. No, editing agent, bleep that.
Wouldn't that be nice? Just get a free mattress delivered to your door every month.
Yeah, just start stacking them.
Into that.
I am the princess and the bee now.
Resell them
or
for,
do
like,
giveaways.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Degrees monthly giveaway mattress.
We're coming to your home.
Literally.
I'll hand deliver it. Get a good firm handshake.
Hell yeah.
Waterbeds were heated?
What?
Waterbeds were heated.
Had to be.
If models with no heater, there are at least several inches of insulation above the water chamber.
That's not
That's
not
what
right.
I experienced. Not in my experiences. Absolutely not.
Sounds like this really is a waterbed podcast now.
I know. Where can they find you, y'all? Let's start with Rick.
Oh,
I know. I knew that was gonna happen. That's why I pointed to you.
They always try and get away with it.
Yeah. Anywhere you get your podcasts at Hammer the Gods, and on most social media at HamPod. If you're curious about why it's HamPod, it's because I was a big NADPod fan, another D&D podcast, and so that was like one of our inspirations to start the show. And so I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just copy them.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's me.
All right, Kayla.
You can find me and my co-host Keisha on the Potions and Potpourri podcast. We are self-described as like a casual D&D chat show podcast, so kind of similar to this. We just talk about D&D topics together. We do these little like improv segments sometimes, so we call potions, and then we occasionally also have guests on to interview, which hopefully Adrian is going to be one of our guests soon. Yeah. And you can find us any social, basically, that's Potions Potpourri. You can also find me and Rick over on Even Footing Games doing work for free for them sometimes.
That's a good point. Yeah.
An advantage of the waterbed is easy cleaning because it doesn't absorb the dirt and dead skin. Listen, this is really not putting me
and
off.
Other substances.
Right. It's impossible for dirt and dead skin particles to penetrate the water mattress, which can then be wiped away periodically with a cloth
I don't
and
like the
vinyl
word
cleaner.
penetrate in conjunction with water mattress.
You're correct.
Yeah.
The cover over the mattress can be regularly washed. Listen, that should have been the selling point.
It probably was.
The lack of dust mites? I don't know. This is a late 30s podcast now, so we're worried about dust mites.
I mean, that's so true.
Thank you, dear listener, for joining us on another episode. You can find us wherever pods are cast. You can help us out on all of our social media platforms. You can join us on our Discord. You can definitely check out the Trans Empowerment Project. Help donate, get this project completed. So it's only $2,000. Listen, that's like $200 more. And like by the time you're listening to this, you could be helping out more people because they've already hit their goal. We're putting it out in the universe. The goal is hit, and now we're looking into like the $5,000 or $6,000. So like, hey, that could be you. You can also find us on Patreon and like I said, anywhere social media is. If you really have a hot take, just spam that social media. We may or may not respond, but it'll get those views up.
I'll respond. Oh, I got it. Thank you guys so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
And I'm Kayla.
And I'm Rick. Yeah, I
Go have
wasn't
some
sure.
fun.
Thanks for having us, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Of course. It was great. I didn't think we'd get to the waterbed part of this podcast, but we did. It happens
Y'all probably
every
got some
time.
new
We keep
fans
doing a
out of
win.
that.
I can't wait for my Wikipedia page to come out. Like,